Hi everyone, this is my video for the NASA Space Shuttle Challenger. So I hope that I can portray my feelings and thoughts towards it, especially in a respectful way, as this deserves respect and we can learn from this a lot, even though it is sad and disappointing sometimes, this specific topic. So what was the Space Shuttle Challenger? What was it? The Space Shuttle Challenger was a rocket launched by NASA in 1986 on January 28th. What happened to it? The rocket launched, and shortly after the launch, within a couple minutes, it blew up, and that explosion led to all 7 of the people inside dying, 5 of who were astronauts and 2 were civilians. One was a school teacher, which made this a bigger deal because they sent her up so that the kids could learn. So many kids were watching it at the time of the explosion. But there's some controversy regarding this explosion and what happened with this. So the night before, there were some engineers in the engineering company working directly with the rocket, and they noticed that it was going to be too cold. When it was too cold, there's an O-ring on it, and they felt like it was going to not work. They had data to support that. And they also had data that the O-rings were already failing originally. NASA really didn't do anything about that, but with it being colder than ever a rocket had ever been launched before, the engineers knew that it wasn't going to work. One engineer even went home to his wife and said that this rocket's going to blow up the night before it was launched. And so there was one engineer specifically. His name is Roger Boisagili. I hope I pronounced that right. But he brought it up. He was a head engineer, and he brought it up to his management in the company and also to NASA. The management and NASA collectively, they decided not to follow the recommendation of the engineer. And because of it, it led to the explosion. Now NASA, in my opinion, they should have done everything different. They disregarded their own rule for launching the rocket. They changed their rule and just kept going with it. That was a big mistake. When NASA sets rules, they set them to keep people safe and to keep things from happening. And because they disregarded their own rule, it led to the explosion. Not only that, but NASA showed poor ethics in that they didn't follow that. They were scared. They potentially could have been scared. I don't know for sure, but this is what I assume. They were worried about how NASA was going to look if they delayed it again. It was already delayed multiple days. They were worried about how the president and the White House was going to see them. And so I'm really disappointed in NASA's decision making on that part. Roger Boisagili, could he have done anything different? Roger Boisagili showed a lot of ethics, I think, in that he brought it up. He was clear and open from what I've studied that the challenges were there, that it wasn't going to work out. Now, I don't necessarily think Roger Boisagili could have done anything different. He brought it to the decision makers, and the decision makers chose to not do it. Now, how much information was given, I don't know. If it was an adequate amount of information given where the decision makers should have been able to make the correct decision, and he was clear with his recommendation that they shouldn't fly it that night or that next day, then I think Roger Boisagili did the right thing. As engineers, you have the opportunity and responsibility to share information and give your recommendation in a firm way, showing what you actually think. So the next question for future engineers, loyalty versus ethics. I think first you have the responsibility to be loyal to your manager. If your manager, if you feel like he's not following proper ethics, then you have the responsibility to make it bigger. Maybe if it's something big like that, talk to the press or talk to someone who could make decisions and stop things from happening. You might lose your job, you might have consequences in that way, but you might not. And if you do, at least you can say at the end of the day, you did the right thing and you'll be able to find a new job. Secondly, I think that management on both sides, the engineering company and NASA, should have just done a better job with following personal ethics, being good people, and not worrying so much about what other people were going to think and the business side of it.